نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك عليه. Brothers and sisters, you're going to go, I promise. We're done. The Prophet ﷺ, when he speaks about these days, he says, أيام العيد أيام أكل وشرب وذكر. The days of Eid are the days of food, of drink, the halal kind of course, and of dhikr. So these are, no doubt, these are days to have a lot of fun. Spread as much joy as you can. Give beautiful gifts. Gather together as families and as friends. Have mawa'id of iftar, have breakfast together, lunch together, dinner together. Visit your loved ones, visit your friends, visit your teachers. But don't forget that in the midst of this food and drink and joy and celebration, that a fundamental, categorical and critical reality that must exist is dhikr. We always have to be remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why the days of tashriq are days of dhikr. The takbirat of Eid continue for 3 more days after salah. And outside of salah, as much dhikr as you can. They are never to be divorced. Pleasure, happiness can never be divorced from remembrance of Allah. Once you remove dhikr from your life, wallahi, it's as if we've turned off the light switch. With dhikr in our lives, the light is on. The heart is spirited. The home is beautiful. But once you stop making dhikr, it's as if you're dimming and dimming and dimming the light until you turn the light off and it becomes dark. No matter how nice your home is, or how nice your belongings, even if you got the nicest new gift that you've been looking for, a piece of jewelry, none of it feels or means anything without the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So may Allah inspire us and help us to be people of dhikr. Allahumma ja'alna min al-dhakirin Allah kathiran wal-dhakirat. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you all, bless your families, your loved ones. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless and accept from us our day of Arafah and all of our ibadat in the first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep us upon this path of La ilaha illallah, Muhammadun Rasulullah. Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barik ala Sayyidina Muhammadin fil awwaleen wa fil akhirin wa fil mala'il a'la ila yawm al-din. أقول قولي هذا وبارك الله فيكم وتقبل الله منا ومنكم صالح الأعمال وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين. Are we ready and willing to commit ourselves to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in that Abrahamic spirit? Because every pressure that we have today as a society tells you to do 2 things. Buckle to the pressures that are socio-political in nature and economic, and buckle to the pressures of your own desires. We are expected to buckle under those 2 pressures all the time. Succumb to the status quo. Abide by what is pumped out in the public sphere. Buy into the narrative of media and big corporations. Buy into it, devour it, celebrate it, absorb it, and then simultaneously indulge yourself. Do everything that you want to do. Have it your way. Whatever you want to eat, drink, sleep, relationships, money, take it all, indulge, have a great time, live your life. Quote unquote YOLO, you only live once. So have it all. And that is antithetical. This messaging that today is dominant in our public sphere is antithetical to the Abrahamic spirit. The prophets of Allah, they lived with a conviction and a higher order moral imperative that is lost on us today. As Muslimin, we have to become on the forefront of what it looks like to live prophetically, to live in the footsteps of Sayyiduna Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Because it's important to know the following. You know, the Prophet ﷺ in the hadith, he said, Yawm Arafah is a day of Eid. Yawm Nahr, today is a day of Eid. Wa Ayyam Tashriq, and the 3 days of Tashriq are the days of Eid. This should point out something to us. The day of Arafah was a day of pure submission and surrender. The day of Nahr is a day of sacrifice. The days of Tashriq are the days of illumination. إِذَا شَرَقَتِ الشَّمْسِ, when the sun has its shuruq, it manifests in the horizon profoundly. It illuminates the horizon. That's when the sun has its shuruq. What we're being taught implicitly by the Prophet ﷺ is that if you and I want to have our own shuruq, we want to have our own light that will guide us through this existence, then we have to become people of ubudiyyah, of surrender and servitude, and we have to become people of sacrifice. If we ever hope to have a light in this existence, it comes through this conduit. That's why Allah told the Prophet ﷺ, directly to the Prophet, by extension us, Inna a'tainaka al-kawthar. We have given you, Ya Muhammad, the Kawthar. The Kawthar, the Mufassirun say, is a river in Jannah, but it is also the abundance. We've given you everything, Ya Habibi, Ya Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So what then was the command? فَصَلِّ لِرَبِّكَ وَانْحَرْ. Worship and pray to your Lord and surrender and sacrifice. That's the command. Arafah, nahr. Salah, nahr. You pray, you worship, you surrender beautifully, and you sacrifice. And the result of that will be illumination, light, guidance, ease, comfort. I'll close with this. Ask yourself a question. Why do you go to work? Why do you get married? Why do you have children? Why do you go and have academic careers? Why do we do these things? We do these things with the hope of a better quality of life. That we're going to be happier, settled, secure, safe. That we're going to have the quote-unquote proverbial good life. Well, Allah makes it very clear to us. You can have all of the trappings of the dunya, but there is no real, true, illuminated, good life without ubudiyyah, surrender, and sacrifice. It doesn't exist. So if you and I want to illuminate our lives, to bring happiness into our homes, to bring beauty into our children's existence, so that you and I have a lineage ila qiyam as-sa'a that is truly beautiful, then we have to commit ourselves today to being people of La ilaha illallah, Muhammadun Rasulullah. May Allah give us and inspire us to be true people of ubudiyyah, of surrender and servitude. And people who are ready and willing, Ya Allah, all of us, we commit ourselves that we are willing to sacrifice everything for your sake. Our health, our wealth, our time, our energy, our desires, our wants. Ya Rabbi, we are here to sacrifice everything for your sake. Allahumma taqabbal minna ya kareem. وصل اللهم وسلم على سيدنا محمد. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي. الله أكبر 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 كبيرا والحمد لله كثيرا وسبحان الله بكرة وأصيلا لا إله إلا الله وحده صدق وعده ونصر عبده وأعز جنده وهزم الأحزاب وحده. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا وحبيبنا ومولانا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك عليه في الأولين وفي الآخرين وفي الملأ الأعلى إلى يوم الدين. Brothers and sisters, Eidukum Mubarak, Eidukum Sa'id. This is a truly blessed and beloved occasion in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where He bestows upon us His magnificent graces and blessings. As Muslimin today, we should be utterly humbled by the greatness of Allah Jalla fi'ula. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he says, Yawm Arafah, the day of Arafah, wa Yawm Nahr, i.e. the day of the slaughter, today, wa Ayyam Tashriq, and the days of Tashriq, Eidun 'inda Ahli al-Islam. It is the Eid for the people of al-Islam. All of us here, we have to acknowledge how sacred these days are. We don't just celebrate mindlessly. It's not just about getting dressed up and having nice meals and nice gatherings and fun and exchanging gifts. There's no doubt that that's an integral part of these days. But the heart and soul of these days is our commitment and our connection and our surrender to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The day of Arafah, which was yesterday, is of the days of Eid, because it was a day where we collectively, as Muslimin, 1.9 billion Muslims across the world, were in utter awe of Allah's forgiveness and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala expiates endless people their sins, and He saves in an immeasurable way people from Jahannam, and He grants and gifts in His rewards and in his ata, his giving, all of the dua, خير الدعاء دعاء يوم عرفة. The best of dua is the dua that we make on the day of Arafah. So yesterday was a day of profound celebration, and today is a whole other form, on the same wavelength, but of the same celebration. It is the celebration of sacrifice. Yesterday it was ubudiyah, servanthood. Today it is sacrifice. Today we are celebrating how it looks like when a servant of Allah chooses to surrender his full self to the way of Allah. Sayyidina Ibrahim was a man, a prophet, a young man who did not succumb to the pressures of his age. He lived in a particular milieu, a socio-political context, where it was not easy to call to what he called for. Everyone was polytheistic. There was a certain standard and a normativity to how society functioned. But Sayyidina Ibrahim stood tall, even as a young boy. And he said, La ilaha illallah. That I won't succumb to the pressures. I won't succumb to the pressures no matter how threatening or daunting they may be. He did not succumb. And he stood firm. May Allah be pleased with him. And when they threw him in the fire, he still stayed firm. When they threatened him with death, he still stayed firm. And it was Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who gifted Sayyidina Ibrahim this profound gift that when he's in the belly of the fire, Kuni bardan wa salaman ala Ibrahim, be cool and peaceful upon him. And when Allah thereafter asked him to sacrifice the most profound sacrifice, which was beyond the sacrifice of his own life, because it's much easier to sacrifice your own life than to sacrifice your son's life, your child's life. And when he was asked to sacrifice his own son's life, his son told him, Ya abati if'al ma tu'mar, my beloved father, you do what you have been commanded. فَلَمَّا أَسْلَمَا وَتَلَّهُ لِلْجَبِينِ. And when they both collectively surrendered, and Allah, Sayyidina Ibrahim put Sayyidina Ismail to be slaughtered, وَنَادَيْنَاهُ أَن يَا إِبْرَاهِيمُ قَدْ صَدَّقْتَ الرُّؤْيَا. We called out to Sayyidina Ibrahim, you have been truthful in your conviction, in your commitment. Sayyidina Ibrahim fulfilled the command. He did not waver. No matter how intense the pressures were, whether the pressures were external, societal, political, or they were internal, there is nothing a father or a mother cannot fathom the idea of slaughtering their own child. Whether it was an internal struggle or an external one, Sayyidina Ibrahim never wavered in his commitment to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.